Hello, everyone, in another episode of Researcher Celebrity, powered by Empowering Science Foundation. And as we are celebrating Women in STEM special, so today we have Dr. Anushrita with us. A brief about Dr. Anushrita. She has done her bachelor's and master's in biotechnology, did PhD in life sciences, and then pursued so many diplomas. Either it is about HR management or learning a new language of German language, and then clinical research and data management, and also got from Scotland. Also, she got a program called Soft Skill Trainer. So now she's a soft skill trainer also, which most of the researchers are. They do struggle. And about her work experience, she worked in National Institute of Malaria Research for her PhD, after which she joined Hetero Drugs Hyderabad as an assistant manager, then joined THB as clinical research scientist. Presently, she is president of Wiki Delhi Child Care Council, as well as a founder of Mindful Parenting Hub. This is a brief about that. So with this, we would like to welcome Dr. Anushrita. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Raja, for giving such an elaborate introduction. So basically, this all started from the roots, and the roots were deeply embedded in a researcher's mind. So I kept on pursuing what I wanted to, what fetched a lot of interest in my work. And that is why I have pursued so many different domains in my life. And it makes me always excited and makes me also a lifelong learner. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, it is a pleasure. So how we start our conversation is like how and when you decided that you wanted to be a researcher.
Oh, yes. So this is a very interesting story. And I believe that humans by default are researchers. And when I was very young, my aunt was there with me for a summer vacation. And we were just discussing things around food. So she had an onion in her hand and she peeled one of the skins of it. And she showed me that if you look at this skin under the microscope, you can even see the cell of the onion. So that intrigued a lot of interest in me that, how would that cell look like and how would a microscope look like? Because I was in class 7th, and at that time, children were not exposed to the microscope at such a tender age and early years. So, of course, it was there. Then I would also always see my mother experimenting in the kitchen and my father in the garden that, okay, let's make some hybrid roses. And my mom will be like, okay, this spice is not good. So let's, try something else. So all this experimentation and things were happening all around in my environment. I was blessed that way because we, in the colony where I used to live, there was another doctor. So I used to, because my family my mother's side is a very big family. So we have all sorts of professional people in the family itself. So some were doctors, some were engineers. So I had this idea of who is a doctor, who's a medical professional who treats people. But then suddenly this uncle comes in and my father greeted him, hello, doctor, how are you? So I was like, okay, he's also a doctor. Then he said, yes, he's a doctor, but he's a PhD. I said, what is the difference in this doctor? He's a PhD and my Masaji is a doctor. So how is it different? So my father just laughed and he said that you will understand when you grow up. For now, you won't be able to understand. It further intrigued more interest in me that, what exactly is it? Why do I have to grow up to understand? What is so special about being a doctor? So yes, this started long back. Then I used to sit for very long periods of reading. So there used to be a professor, my father's friend. He would come for 2 days, 3 days vacations. And one day he said that, Anushrita, you can be a researcher. I said, why? He said that you have long sitting capacity and you like reading. So you should get into research. So at that time, I was not sure I would get into research, but I was like, okay, I'll keep that in my mind. And I kept on studying. And this is how I eventually landed up being a researcher.
Like at the age of, when you were, as you said, you were at 7? You were...
yeah. So 7 or 8 years.
So
people were talking about such things.
That people are experimenting around you, So was that the point when you also started questioning things and started your own mini research?
Mini research happened for the first time when I joined NIMR. But I mean, like formal structured experiment, if you say. Otherwise, I'll keep on doing experiments at school, but it was quite structured. Whatever the teacher would say, put these chemicals and you'll get these results. It was very standard, like it is always there in the schools. But when I came to NIMR and I got some freedom to, do something of my own, that was like a breakthrough for me. And I started looking for more and more. Okay, so malaria is just a word. It's like a whole new world for me, and what all I can do to help solving a problem. Then my ideal, Dr. Kalam was always the leader. And I used to read about his work and in his books. And I used to keep thinking, what exactly a scientist does to make someone's life better. That was the whole idea. It was not just for the sake of publishing a paper or, just a namesake doctor. I always wanted to solve problems with my research. So that started from NIMR. And then when the project I got, I thought that it was a beautiful project because it incorporated interdisciplinary research. It was not very narrowed down. And from there, I never stopped learning about public health, taxonomy, and molecular biology, a lot of other things, even psychology, because we have to go for public dealing, and we used to deal with patients when we go for our research study visits.
So at what stage of your life you actually decided that you want to pursue a PhD?
After my master's. When I finished my master's, I had decided to be into research, but what domain, that I was not very sure, because I was applying, I had completed my master's thesis from NCDC. So I had a fair exposure of molecular techniques and things, but I did not want to pursue an HIV and any communicable diseases. I had other interests. But as usual, at that time, I had limited awareness about use of Google and things. I was learning a lot about such things at that time. So eventually, I landed in NIMR, and this is how I got through it.
Would you like to share some, like how smooth that journey was, the PhD?
Well, I will say that it was not that bad. But yeah, every PhD is a story, I believe. And it has its own ups and downs because it's a journey. And in a journey, the end point doesn't matter. And you are also growing personally and professionally in this journey of PhD. So just like any other's PhD, I would say that there were some challenges initially because of the registration issues. And then there are certain personal challenges which women face, like, getting married, and then you also have to have your children and start your family. All such things came into action. So it was a little turbulent in between, but otherwise my journey was smooth. I had got good supervisors. So they were very supportive. And whenever I would feel a little low, they would always be there as a mentor, and they will help me come out of that situation and get the solutions of the problem. And some friends also, I must say, I would not forget their help. My friends, my family, they all had been there whenever I felt low. But yeah, overall, it was a fairly nice experience. My PhD was really nice.
So, Dr. Anushrita, we are celebrating women in STEM here, and you just briefly touched about the challenges which are, which women face when they are doing research. So, is there anything in specific, like getting married, going to the family way, having kids and all that? How challenging is that to manage and not to give up on your career?
Yeah, so since I'm interested in psychology as well, so that creates a lot of, thinking and sensitivity towards my responsibility as a mother as well. So my interests, of course, pull me towards science, and my sense of responsibility and sensitivity also pulls me towards my child or my family. But it's not, like 100% or 24/7, you have to be available for the child or the family. Nobody needs you 100% and 24/7. So challenges will be there. There will be some times and some days when your work would need you more. And there will be some times when your family needs you more, because, we all need support. Either to grow professionally or in the family, we all need support. So if you have that support, the challenges will come, but you will be able to pass through that. Otherwise, it gets a little difficult. Okay. So I see. So a lot of ladies I see, they suffer a lot because they don't get a lot of support at home. And when I talk to them as a parenting coach now, I get a chance to talk to many parents and listen, especially the working women. And I listen to their issues, and then I get to know that how difficult it is for a working woman to find a balance between both the two things. Because there is always your brain energy is shifting from one task to other, because you have to quickly finish your things you have committed to your work. And at the same time, you are constantly shifting your brain energy to what your child needs, or, whether he has attained the milestone or not. If not, what you have to do, then what are his requirements right now? Sometimes not sometimes, in fact, the babies, the growing children need their mothers more. And it has been proven by science that their cognitive abilities improve more if they have a very strong bond with their mothers, especially because she is the primary caretaker. In case the father is available and they can be the primary caretaker, it also has the same impact on the cognitive abilities. So being a wholehearted researcher, when I read this report, it was like, I was like, oh my God, what shall I do? Because this is what science is asking me to do. And being a researcher, how do I deny this fact? Because that has also been scientifically proven research. It was not any random blog which was mentioning that. It was from Harvard Medical Research. And in the growing babies in the initial years, the serve and return makes a lot of difference in the prefrontal cortex development. So this is how I learned a lot about early brain development and how you can support a child. So, it's always there. And it will always be there. As a working woman, it's very difficult, but then you have to find a way to sort of find a balance. I don't call it a work-life balance at all. Okay. But yeah, we have to switch between being a flexible species. We have to switch between both work and family.
Okay. So now after PhD, you have done specialization in HR management, learned a new language, German language, then soft skill training. This is something which not every researcher actually can think of, that they can actually do this part, or they should be a soft skill trainer. What made you think that you wanted that?
Yeah, so that's a very interesting question. And soft skill training was not just for me. It was, as I said, that I always keep on looking for solutions. So when I started working in the industry, I realized that a lot of intelligent people are there around me, but due to some issues or some of their mental blocks, they were not able to communicate themselves properly. That was becoming a big challenge in their career. To help them in their career progression, I thought if I combine this knowledge of mine and I start helping these professionals, because they were looking for help and they did not have anyone. So I thought, okay, let me do this. I got trained from ICBI. And then I also got this accreditation from NABET. It's an Indian organization. It's a government organization which gives you this train the trainer certificate. So I can also now train the people in a system. So suppose there is a pharma company or an organization where people are not able to communicate themselves well. Because of this, the overall production gets affected. I can train them to help and smooth the process. So make the process smoother. So soft skill training came into action like that. It was again from a researcher's, back in mind, the researcher is always activated. So soft skill training was from there because I wanted to solve that problem. I took that certification. And that helps me also in a lot of things when I'm dealing with my child, with my peers around me. It gives me a lot of edge. So I think soft skills is like one of the life skills which most of the people should learn about.
And talking of soft skills in research, you have been a hardcore researcher. Still at core, what we can feel is like you are always you will always be a researcher at heart. So have you seen that people, as you mentioned in industry, they do struggle? What is the scenario? What are your experiences? Because people do say that researchers are not very, like some of the great scientists are not very good as in communication.
Yeah, so it was all about, this is how I came into right brain training, because left brains, we not just us, it's because of the whole education system. We are always trained on using our left brain, which is more of a logical, and the brain which is into introspection. However, the right brain is very fast, it is spontaneous, and it's into imagination, creativity, and all that. So right brain is, I'm sure you must have heard about the split brain theory. If not, you can always search and read. It's very interesting. You should read about it. So right brain is fast and it absorbs information at very fast pace and it thinks very fast. However, the left brain will always keep you logical and very methodological. And the right brain keeps on absorbing, left makes the sense from the right. So they work in unison, but still they have different functionalities. Okay. So the scientists or the so-called STEM people, they are majorly left brains. I still am a left brain. I mean, I'm still working on my right brain. So whatever these additional certifications or curriculums I get into was majorly into right brain training, because I got to know that it helps you grow the brain holistically. So what the future needs, whether India or abroad, anywhere, we need more of holistic brain development. We just don't want, because all of the jobs which were created so far are being taken over by AI in coming times. So if you just rely on left brain, it's not going to help you in long run. What will you do? So if you've just trained your left brain and suddenly AI comes and say, hey, dude, just get off. This is now my job. What will you do? It's not just about money, you know, being productive is very important for the brain. It saves you from dementia. So even if you've got nothing, please go and walk and do something and just be active. Your brain should be active. So right brain is very important, because when left brain gives you tough times, say you are in research and you are stuck somewhere in your experiments, or you had ordered few things which will take time to get delivered, and then only you can start your experiment. What will you do in that duration? And you are also getting frustrated. At that time, your right brain capacities help you maintaining a balance. If you are creative, you can, you know, paint something. These are used as therapies these days. Painting, writing, creative writing, all these things are bringing your mind in present. That is why it is very important to have your right brain trained along with the left brain.
Speaking of the balances, so you have done academic part for your PhD, joined industry, did some fantastic work there. Then what made you move to be a founder of Mindful Parenting Hub? Because not many of the researchers, although now the trend is changing, they are trying to be more, there are more entrepreneurs coming out of PhDs. What made you take this decision?
Okay, so when I became a mother, that was a big turning point. And as my daughter was around 7-8 months, I started working again. But then there was, as I always say, that there's always a push and pull when you're a working mother. So this happened. I got a mail from my boss, and my daughter wanted to play with me. She is a child. She doesn't know anything about how the world runs, or why your being on time is so important than me. She runs on emotions. That is how the child's brain understands things around them. So that's another interesting topic. If you have another session with me, I will like to talk about it. So right now, I'll just focus on this. So my daughter wanted to play with me, and my boss mailed me that I want this immediately. So now my brain got so occupied. I was pressed for time. I was stressed. That was my trigger. It shouldn't be there, but this is how I got triggered at that time that, oh, this has to be done at the level of emergency. And my daughter kept on looking for my attention. I could not give her attention. Eventually, she cried a little bit and then went out of the room. And then I suddenly realized that, why am I feeling this pressure? It is just a mail. And I got so distracted that I didn't even know when my child went off my room. So how can, and not just one, this is just one scenario, but there are several other scenarios when I see parents or at times even me, I got a call, my daughter wants my attention, but I am busy on the phone because I have to reply immediately. This sense of immediate response was a big problem, and it is still a big problem in the society. From there, I started looking for solutions. What is the reason? Like, why do we keep on binging on Instagram or Netflix or on phones? For that matter, random reels people keep on watching for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, even 1 hour. Then they suddenly say, "Arey yaar, 1 ghanta chala gaya, pata hi nahi chala." You know what I mean? So I started reading a book by Neil Eyre. It's an amazing book. You must read about it. He talked about the book. The name of the book is Indistractable. So he again went into psychology, and he said that, coming back to phone and again was because there is something else. The reason is something else. You are running away from something. It's not you are finding something on the phone. You are running away from something which is more time consuming, and your brain thinks that it is more cumbersome. So it is relying on entertainment to keep your nerves soothed. And that opened my brain like anything. I was like, man, what was happening? I then started observing myself first. What was happening? I was in an environment of work, always alert, fast, be in the competitive, have that competitive edge. You have to move forward and do this and that. Suddenly, when my child was born, I had to completely slow down because she doesn't understand hundreds of words in one sentence. And I had to start from scratch, ABC. My brain was getting slowed down, and it was really tiresome for it because it was used to cortisol. It was used to binge on cortisol. So this piece was a big problem for me. It was a big distraction. That is why I was depending upon the phones, upon the distractions. From there, I realized that what all we can do to help parents. Not many people come to know about these. They just keep on repeating the same things because this is how it is. This is how we have been conditioning our brains for so long. Okay, let's do one exercise. Bring your hands in front of you like this. Okay. So when you have to pull your thumb, this left thumb out, you have to also bring together the right pinky. Right pinky. Yeah. Okay. And when you bring them in, do this. Try.
Yeah, it's tough.
Right? Yeah, it's tough. Because this is how new things are. Unlearning and relearning. So our brain has not been conditioned. The same way, if I do this, use your fist to just tap lightly here and use one hand to rub this. Do this simultaneously.
Yeah, it is. Not happening.
So yeah, so this is such an amazing thing if you get into psychology and read about how minds work and how we can help parents to understand things. Because you know what, we are conditioned for so long, for so many years, that we think if we are doing this, the child should be able to do. But we are thinking from our own brain. We are not trying to understand their perspective, their brain, which is still growing, which doesn't understand all this. So I just thought, why not bring all this information, education together and help parents solving this problem? Because for working parents, if they don't have the peace of mind, it also impacts on their work. It also impacted my work. I mean, like, because of the constant pressure of, having a child and being constantly worried about the child, it impacted even my productivity. So I had committed few silly mistakes when I was, I had just become a mother and I was trying to find the so-called balance between life and work. So it is a very, very important and crucial factor, especially in an Indian family. I mean, I'm sorry to say Indian, but yeah, women are suffering a lot inside the families as working women too. They are not able to open up and speak in front of the family members or in public, but I know that they have issues and they're not able to deal with them. Hence, we should bring in all the family members together, and especially for a working woman, because I'm not saying that the challenges for a homemaker are anywhere less, but there's still somehow the society still tries to cope up and help those women. On the contrary, the working women are suffering a lot at the workplace because they are emotionally so challenged when they are new mothers and a lot of changes are happening, to which the industry doesn't pay much heed. They're trying to bring in some maternity leaves or policies which can be helpful, but the entire working environment is designed keeping men in mind. They still have to make it more women friendly so that they have this sense of security also. They are changing, and there is a lot of dialogue coming up on platforms like LinkedIn and all. A lot of people are bringing this up, and industry is realizing that yes, whatever businesses or organizations were developed, they were developed because men were there in the major working force. Now, since women are also joining and they are expanding like anything, probably I expect some good policy changes.
So here, I think I would like to tell all of our viewers, as Dr. Anushrita said, take that break, okay? If you are going too much on the phone, that means probably you are also running from your experiments or something.
Yes.
Because I remember going away from experiment is the easiest part, probably, I think. Any researcher can correlate with. Writing is one where most of the researchers don't want to do that. So whenever you are going to your phone, probably you are just escaping. So just take that time out, write whatever sentences you can write. Either it is your PhD or it is a paper, because that will help you a lot. Probably the reels might not help you that much at least. And
Absolutely.
if you're pursuing PhD, then obviously it is not helping you. So consider those points. And as Dr. Anushrita also mentioned, being vocal, either you are a working woman pursuing PhD or you are a researcher at any stage, there are always incidences where you should speak up. Never keep it either with your family or upfront to the scenario, wherever the situation is. Never think that you are anyone less than anyone. That is what we believe at Empowering Sense Foundation, breaking the barriers. Break this bubble that anyone can take you for granted, that, okay, if this is a female, it can be done or said. No, they have to change this attitude. And probably, Dr. Anushrita, you can experience, like you can just think and you can imagine her in that situation. No one can think or no one can say anything to her. That is for sure. Speaking of it, were there any incidences or single when you were actually thinking to give up on your research career because you thought that because you are a female, that's the reason why you have been targeted?
Not really. As Dr. Raja, I always felt that I was very lucky in finding this group with which I worked, because that was entirely men dominant. I was the only lady going to the field trips because it used to be long road journeys, and they used to do it with their field staff and in the vehicle given by the government. So I had this thought in my mind that maybe I'm the single woman in this entire team. I might be targeted, or people would like to pull my legs, or like usually I used to see. But luckily, I found a lot of support. Even when I was a female in the whole male fraternity, I got a lot of support. But just because I was woman, I was never targeted. But yes, of course, if I commit a mistake, which any male would commit as a researcher, I would definitely be picked. And I don't mind that. It's the part of the work. So yeah, not as a woman did I feel that I was targeted. But yes, if I fail in my experiments or I am not going in the right direction and somebody comes and tells me that, you should find a direction. Yeah, that had happened. And that is okay. It's needed for your growth.
So the researcher, when you just started your PhD, and now you are teaching life lessons, teaching the parents how to deal with kids. How do you see a researcher evolving?
Oh yeah, big time. Because psychology is not my core subject. So every day I have to learn new things, and then dealing with the parents on daily basis. So I did get certified as a parenting coach also. I did not jump into the ocean like that. I had got some little wings. But yeah, psychology is a vast field again. We just by a certificate or a thing, we can't say that we are experts. In fact, as a researcher, I feel we can never be an expert. It's a constantly learning journey and also an evolving journey. So every day when I talk to a parent and they give me different scenarios that, my child is throwing a lot of tantrums, I have issues with my work, then I get into the further details and step-by-step understanding of what is the problem, the core problem. What is triggering you and why is it triggering you? That's itself very awakening. That is how I landed up writing my book, Awaken a Mindful Parent. So here what happens is there are certain childhood traumas. Sometimes we don't even realize. They only come to surface when you have your own child. Your child is a kind of awakening to you. If you start observing your own behavior with your child, you will come to know about yourself, a lot of things which you had never explored about yourself. That is why I believe that human relationships are really important. They teach you a lot about humans, but also about yourself. There are blind spots in all of us. We don't know. Some people would come and tell you. So that reminds me of my research days in NIMR. We used to go to some conferences, and in every conference, I'll find one person or the other who will tell me, you should have been into a news channel. Somebody will say, you should have been there. I used to think, why? I mean, but probably those were my blind spots I was not aware of, but people could observe in me. So I was not reading psychology at that time, but when I started reading, I realized, oh, so that is why people could observe a lot of things in me, which I was not able to. So when I talked to the parents as a researcher, I realized that these parents were not aware. When I tell them that, this is probably coming from the childhood trauma you had suffered, or there is some childhood wounds, there are some childhood wounds which you are not aware of, then they are able to recall. And when they are able to recall, that gives them a lot of, in terms of spirituality, I would say they feel liberated. They feel a lot of burden has been taken away from them, and they feel relaxed and more calm. And when they are calm, this is what they pass on to their children. Because what happens is when a child is crying and you have been into the habit of suppressing your own emotions. What used to happen when we were children? Chota bacha, chup ho jao, kuch nahi hua, suppress kar do sab. Now what happened? You did not deal your own emotions. Now when your child is crying in front of you, you are not able to deal with it. Why? Because you were never told to do it. When you start living your own emotions, you also are able to deal with others' emotions. If you never learned how to deal with your own, you would never be able to learn how to deal with others. So it is very crucial for parents to understand and stay through that emotions. So when the child is crying, be with them. I'm not asking to abandon them or, have a stern face or, or maybe just start giving in there. What are they crying for? So sometimes children would ask for any random thing. You can't give everything to your child, right? As an authoritative parent, you should also have this sense of parenting. So don't give in, but also don't abandon the child. Sit with them and tell them that we are here. I'm sure you're feeling really bad. That's why you're crying, but it's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay not to be okay. This is such an important message people should learn and absorb. It is okay not to be okay, because the whole system, your parents, your peers, everyone is pushing you to be sort of perfect, which nobody knows what is. Nobody has a clear, you ask anyone, do you have any specific guidelines or any structured framework where you can define perfectionism? Nobody has. You do one thing and say, hey, I'm perfect. Some other expert will come, hey, you committed a mistake here. There's no end to it. So when we are in this race of becoming a perfect person, it's really very pressing. I have been there. So I know it is difficult, very challenging. And from there, I learned that rather than running for perfectionism, you can work on excellence. Excellence should also be there. I'm not asking to, stop everything and just sit and don't do anything. If you work for excellence and you have interest in that subject, you will never find it cumbersome. Today, I am into a lot of things. I'm doing a lot of things, but it doesn't make me feel tired or, why did I take so many responsibilities on me? No, I love every moment of it. Even when I'm working as the president of Delhi Child Care Council, I am loving it because I always wanted to do it. I just didn't get time or a chance earlier. When I got, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. When I'm working as a freelancer, when I'm working as a parenting coach, when I'm also working as a mother, I'm enjoying every bit of it. So yeah, I think I'm taking a lot of time. We should be mindful of the time also.
So this is one thing which I would like to tell all the viewers, especially happen to be women who are researchers also. Go read the book, Awakening a Mindful Career, if I'm right.
Awaken a Mindful Parent.
Mindful Parent. So go and take that, have a look, because and you can compare the books when a researcher writing the books, their experiences, it is a different way they bring. You probably might learn some things like I was struggling to do all the skills what she was trying to make me, because the brain has a different way to do. And in a researcher field specifically, you have to, because we always work towards troubleshooting. Okay, if something hasn't worked, it needs to be troubleshoot. And the same as Dr. Anushrita mentioned is with the kids also. You have to be very patient as you are with your experiments. So now, as Dr. Anushrita pointed out, we are walking at the end of our conversation. I would like to ask you, do you believe that you are a researcher celebrity?
Well, that's a tough one. Because again, I would ask, what is the definition of a celebrity? I think it's I won't call it a celebrity, but yeah, I'm a researcher and I'm very proud of what I am right now. Okay. If you want to call me a celebrity, thank you so much for that big heart.
Yeah. So what we do at Empowering Sense Foundation, one of the things which needs to be broken, breaking the barrier, is our tagline. And what we do is researcher celebrity is named so that we can celebrate every single researcher. So
that's fantastic. That's such a wonderful initiative, Dr. Raja, I must say that, because it's hardly people get to know someone in person, especially in our times. As I remember when I was starting my PhD and I was looking to meet someone in person and understand how their PhD journey was, or is it truly worth getting into this profession? I did not get many. So when there is a platform and you people have taken such a wonderful initiative to bring such experienced professors and researchers. I am just the beginner in the field of research, but I have seen some of your videos where some very experienced researchers were there and I really liked them. I wish I had watched those videos earlier. So thank you so much for bringing us all together here.
It is all our small token of our due, which we believe that we think the society has given it to us. So now it is our time to pay off. And this is a small token Empowering Sense Foundation works towards. And
wonderful initiative.
Yeah, thank you very much for your kind words. Now I would like to tell all the audience that if you want to write to Dr. Anushrita, you can be a parent, being a researcher also. So feel free. Now you got a free coach. Okay.
Coaching is not free. It's on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
I have shared a lot of information on Instagram. I am very regular there. YouTube, yes, due to my other responsibilities, I'm not very regular on YouTube, but I'm planning to post some more videos which are in-depth, explanation of the initial journeys as a parent of 0 to 5 years, especially. I have also curated a course online, which anyone can be a member of and start watching those videos. Nice. And overcome their initial parenting challenges.
Thank you for the information. And now I believe that you might get so many pings and, the Instagram might not jam, should not jam because of Anushrita. Here we will say thanks to Dr. Anushrita and to all our viewers. Stay tuned. We will be back in our next episode of Researcher Celebrity. Till then, bye-bye. And thanks, Dr. Anushrita, for sharing the journey.
Thank you, Dr. Rajo, for having me here. It was lovely talking to you.
It was a pleasure. Thanks.